Hello and welcome to the Magic is Key guest lesson series season 1. And today we are talking to Marina De Giovanni, an incredible teacher and friend who built an 8-figure business, online business, and then decided to quit it all to follow her own voice and build something new in alignment with herself and her truth. She is deeply inspiring, and there's so much incredible information in this video. So if you are someone who is stuck in some form of work and you know you should change something about it, but you're a little afraid to make the leap, then this video is for you. If you are an entrepreneur missing magic in your life and figuring out what life would be like to have it in your life and your work, this video is for you. And if you're looking for someone with super high vibes and fantastic energy to inspire you in your life right now, this video is for you. Marina is truly amazing. I can't wait for you to watch this. Now, make sure you've hit subscribe, you've liked this video if you love this video, and hit the little bell button to get a notification when our next epic guest lesson comes online. Also, make sure to drop us a comment below. We love hearing your reflections, your realizations, anything that comes up while you watch the guest lesson, and feel free to ask any questions. We always reply. Now enjoy this incredible guest lesson with Marina De Giovanni.
So today's a super duper exciting day because we are interviewing Marina De Giovanni, who is all the way over in Australia. She's a mentor of mine, I would say, a huge inspiration. I think you've had a massive influence on how I think about marketing, how I think about putting myself out there, how brave I've become over the years. I always think of Marina. And a little bit about you, because you're absolutely incredible and amazing. So you come from kind of humble beginnings work-wise. You were, I think, doing events, working a very corporate job. And then you decided, I'm going to do my own thing, and built this incredible influencer brand fairly swiftly. Because I think that you founded your first company just a bit over 10 years ago. Yeah. Is that correct? Yeah. So fairly swiftly, you became this huge thing. You did crazy giveaways. You were blogging like crazy and traveling the world. And it was all fashion and makeup and how to be an influencer and how to blog. And then we looked on Goodreads and you have like, I don't know, 10 published ebooks out. Yeah. So
I've slowly tried to reel them all back in. There's a few out there that are still like, I mean, once it's on the internet and it's out, it's out. But just, after we shut everything down and retired everything, we, I sometimes see things pop up where I'm like, oh, that's my book. But oh, it's out there still. It's still impacting people, but it's just not what we do anymore. But it's the internet. It just like rides a wave.
Well, it's amazing what you've done. And it's incredible how prolific you are and continue to be. It's really inspiring. And you ended up building that influencer brand to an 8-figure business. Yes. And then we met on the Funnel Queen Mastermind and did some coaching together. And then you had babies and a poodle. And something awoke in you and everything changed. And now you are building an entirely new company where you are supporting people with growing businesses in the area or the field of spirituality. And you're also very open about your own spiritual practices or your own spiritual witchy magical side. So this is a complete turnaround. We would love to hear, unless I missed something in the bio, please add that.
You've done your research. I'm like, oh, you should write the bio for my books, which I don't have any. I've only got one book out at the moment. But yes, you've done your research. So I did start, just to take it all the way back. It was 2013 where I quit my career after 10 years of being an event manager and decided I want to find my purpose. That was like really what the question and the statement was. I was like, I want to quit my job and just travel a little while and just like be still. I knew the stillness part of it was like, I need a minute to like get away from the hustle and bustle of the 9 to 5 and career and just go and relax for a minute. So I went to Greece, where the lifestyle is very like, oh, no worries. And like you can really float around, right? But when we got there, I don't know what happened, but we ended up just starting a blog. And I didn't really put much thought into it. I think what happened was my sister at the time had a lot of success on Instagram as a fashion blogger. So at that time in 2013, I think she had grown an audience of like 350,000 or something like that, which was like huge, right? So she now has 1 million followers, but basically back then it was unheard of to have that many followers, and Instagram was very new. So we sort of saw the ease in which she did that while she had a job, just taking selfies in the mirror. And we're like, oh, we could do this. Let's start a lifestyle blog. And I'll just share this simple living blog about how you could just live a simple life. You don't really need to have everything and do a simple life. So I tried this lifestyle blog where I was talking about food and fashion and beauty and fitness, and it just wasn't taken off. Like it was just 6 months in and I was like, no views. Like I was doing like all these tactics that I was Googling, and like nothing was really working. And then I really became like uninspired with it. And I was like, I don't even think this is in alignment with the way I was living. But it wasn't, I was living in that way, but also like it wasn't an embodied simple living. Like I wasn't fully like the simple living to build a whole brand about it. So we shut that down. And then I decided I was just going to go all in on fashion, because I was like, I love fashion. So my sister's doing that. Let me just model what she's doing. If you've seen someone else do something successful, model them and you can have similar success. So we decided I'll launch a fashion blog. And that was when I realized, and I did more research, and I was more thoughtful about trying to create something rather than just like creating a website and just like talking about random things. There was no sort of we didn't know what we were doing. We just thought you just create a blog and just share your life and that's it. There was, didn't really know anything about it, but I decided to do more research and be more thoughtful in how we were launching this blog. And so I launched this blog, a fashion blog, and we decided that we would treat it like a real brand and do a giveaway. So I think like I was working like part-time casual at the time. So I had like a little bit of money coming in, and it was like, I decided I'd do something crazy and spend $1,000 on a Louis Vuitton bag and like give it away. Because I was like, everybody like in the fashion space have all got this bag. It's like the it bag. I'll just get it. I didn't even own one myself, and to this day I still don't own one. Like I never went and bought one for myself, just even for like the novelty of it. I was like, I should have just bought one for the novelty. It's not my style anymore. But we bought this bag and decided to give it away, and it went viral. Like I went overnight. So within 30 days, I was perceived to be this successful blogger that just came out of nowhere. And so that was all fun, and like, something happened positive. Like we got all these followers and I was emailing them and like selling affiliate products like clothes and things like that. And, things were coming along. I wasn't like making like millions of dollars doing that, but I was like seeing some income come in, and brands were reaching out saying, hey, we want to work with you. So like I worked with like Maybelline and some other Australian brands and things like that. So that was fun, but I was still very much like a small influencer and I was trying to grow. So I was learning about marketing and I was applying the marketing to my fashion blog. And then marketers started talking about me. So there's 2 big people, or 3 actually at the time. There was a blogger called Blog Tyrant. So he was like a blogging expert. So he had a lot of high traffic. So he was quite niche. To this day, still one of the OG marketers. Neil Patel is very well known. And then a tech company named Lead Pages, which is also one of the leading page building sites in like the world, like one of the top 10 at least. They wrote a case study on me. And so I had these marketers talking about me. And so if you Googled how to start a fashion blog, these articles would come up where people would talk about me. So then people were emailing me saying, hey, can I ask you a few questions? Can you look at my website? Can you look at my social media? So I started just coaching people over email for free. And then someone said to me one day, like, you should totally create a course on this, because I kept going back and forth with her. So I was like, oh, a course. Okay. So then I created a course about how to launch and grow a fashion blog, how to monetize a fashion blog. And then from there, it just like quantum leaped to like 8 figures. Like it was at the time, no one had online courses. So I started with the fashion blogging course, and then I figured out people wanted more and more. And then I figured out what would sell, which was ultimately where I had my major aha moment and decided to like burn it all down. But like rising of the phoenix. So basically, I created a suite of products that started out with a fashion blogging course that basically I figured out what people would want and I would sell it to them in the sense of marketing. So like, I want followers, I want to make money, I want to create content, I want to be famous, I want to go viral. So I was creating all this content and programs and teaching people how to do all these things, which is all fantastic because I was helping people and I was making money and they were making money and everyone was happy and it was great. But after a while, once you sort of hit a tipping point and it grows, you go through this, like, we had a tipping point of, we had one product that also, I had a few products, but then one went viral. So I had a book about blogging. It was called First 7 Days of Your Blog. So it was like how to start a blog within 7 days. And that, like, we sold like over 300,000 copies of that ebook. So that created a lot of success in the space, which brought us a big audience. But with that, we became a proper operation of like selling programs. And so I became a coach. And I would say that I sort of fell into it. And at the same time, it was around this period, I got really sick. I had Epstein-Barr, so like glandular fever, also known as mono. I think we call it different things in different countries. So I got really sick. I was trying to grow my company and I thought I was burnt out as well because I was just like growing. We were growing so fast, it was hard to stop because I had a team at that time. And I just became really unhappy because I was like, I really don't like what I'm doing. I feel like I sort of like, it chose me. I didn't choose it. I've become this like business coach now and I don't really like what I'm doing, but I could never put my finger on what the problem was, like what I didn't like. And it took me a really long time in that period. And I would say that's when my intuition sort of turned on. Like I've always had this like intuitive ability my whole life, but it was sort of like dimmed, I think of a dimmer switch on a light. It started like dim down. And I remember thinking like, of moments where people would say to me, oh my God, you said that was going to happen. Or like, oh my God, you're so psychic. Like I'd get these things happening. It was happening more frequently. Or I just knew something that we needed to do. And I'm like, you have to do it. And it wouldn't make sense, but we do it and it would work. Or we shouldn't do something. And I turned out to be right about that. So these little sort of, my mentor calls them breadcrumbs, were happening. And at the same time, I was just like a mess because I didn't like what I was doing, but I couldn't figure out why. And then I finally discovered that I wasn't in love with my customer. So, and also people like you were actually a really big part of this, because when we realized like that was like the problem, like, oh, it's the people I'm working with, I felt like, I realized now looking back, I'm like, oh, I know why now. But like, I felt like there was and everyone's on their own journey, not to judge anybody, but there was sort of like a shallow, materialistic, fame hungry, power hungry with lack of service for others. And I was enabling people with that. So I was giving people marketing tools for them to go and share their values and mission with the world. But their values and their mission was just, I want to make money and I want to lay on a beach all day and I don't want to help anybody. I just want to do what's going to make money with little effort. So there was a portion of people in the audience, I would say a major portion of people that were like that, being that was the industry I was in. Like if you go into the fashion industry, it's a little bit like, it's artistic, but like there's some characters in there. So basically, like I just wasn't aligned with that group of people. And it took me a long time to realize that. But the people that I was aligned with, when I had to think about, okay, well, if I was going to delete all my customers, who would I keep? And like people like you were like number one. I was like the witches. I'm like, the witches are awesome. And I still talk about you to this day to clients. They're like, what kind of clients do you have? I'm like, I have a speech therapist client in Australia and I have a witch from Amsterdam. I'm like, she could be 25 years old or she could be 125 years old. I don't know. I'm like, but I have a witch client. Do you know what I mean? Like I love that sort of broad healer type person. And so when I looked at the list of people, they were all spiritual, soul-led, heart-centered, conscious people. I was like, they were all doing some kind of work that whilst they were being served, because you do want to self-serve, you don't want to just be selfless, it needs to serve you back, but they were also using their gifts to serve others. And it's improving the world on like a domino effect level. So like I give you some light, the light transfers. It just keeps going. So if someone is a speech therapist or a witch and you do something to help someone manifest something, or if you help someone's kid become more confident at public speaking and they go on to do something positive with that, just become a happier kid, or you help someone manifest something that they're dreaming of, it's like those people are going to be happy people, and happy people can inspire others to be happy. So that's really the sort of the long story, but the short story at the same time. I feel like I could write a 300-page book just on that journey. But really the big pivotal thing was not like noticing the lack of substance within my own business, of knowing I'm just going to create things. Like if I'm like, I know people want to get famous on Instagram, I'm just going to create a course or a book called Instagram Famous, knowing that was what people wanted. And then the misalignment of working with people who I they didn't share my values. So basically I call them like soulmate clients. Like there needs to be like an energetic match there of like values and beliefs that you share, so that when you're working together, it's like a shared mission in some ways.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, James.
Blown away. No, that's a really beautiful story. What I would love to learn more about now is also how your own spiritual journey ties in with that. You've, I think, already touched a little bit.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the story, so I said to you, I quit my job because I wanted to find my purpose. And so I went through that whole journey of where I'm at in the story. It was very turbulent, I would say. And I grew a business and I hired people and I fired people and I had all the tech problems, and we were running, a high ad spend. So there was a lot of there was just a lot of action happening every day. I felt like every day I woke up and I had to put a fire out. It was very like go, go, go. And like there was no room to breathe. And I always felt like, as before I actually had, my spiritual awakening, that it was a waste of time. I used to feel like, why did I just go through that? I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm doing the wrong thing. I need to be doing something else. I know this isn't what I'm meant to be doing, but I hadn't yet learned the value of the trust and surrender. So I was like, almost like having a tantrum inside of this, like, oh my God, this isn't what I'm meant to be doing. I need to be doing something else, without connecting to like the oneness and the universe and spirit, and connecting to my own intuition to let that guide me. And I was too clouded. I think I was too much in my masculine. And so it wasn't until probably 2020 when the world sort of got turned upside down. And I realized like, oh, I don't even have to be doing this anymore. I can just choose who I want to work with. And so in that period, I decided to slow down in business and work more with magic. So I was meditating every day for like 3 hours a day. I was still doing some work, but it was not like what I used to be doing. And then I started using cards and different modalities. So I was doing a lot of Reiki healing and kinesiology, and just trying out different modalities, calling things in, manifesting, following my intuition more, learning to like work with my intuition. And I worked with so many different mentors and did so much healing in that time, that it helped almost, I don't want to say activate, I would say more like awaken my intuition, where now I'm really like, it's very integrated now. So I feel like it's definitely guiding me, even though there's times where I'm like, this is like not how I thought things would be going or what I intended or planned for, but I'm more trusting in the process of it. And I still think that the purpose piece is still playing out. I think I set the intention with spirit, with the universe, just within my life. It's like I quit my job, my career. I made a very big change in my life. And the intention I remember in that was I want to find my purpose. And I feel like it took me 11 years or 10 years to realize that's what's actually unfolding for me, and I didn't realize it. I thought I could just go on holiday and relax on a beach and my purpose would be whispered in my ear and I'd wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to do this. But no, it doesn't work that way. And I also think it's evolving. I think it's just something that you may have multiple purposes in life. Like you have your life purpose and your soul purpose, but you may not know what your purpose is until you look back on your life. But you might go through several seasons in your life where you feel like this is my purpose right now. And at the end, you might add that all up and go, oh, that's what that was. There's a purpose for me to learn something. And as I am right now with my business, I feel like the mission and what feels very aligned is having a mystic spiritual business on every corner, just like a fast food McDonald's or like a Starbucks, like in the US. Like that's how common I want mysticism to be. Like I want everyone to know about manifesting and meditating and all the magic, like, you know, spells or what do you want to call it? Like incantations or however people want to label the magic that's among us. There's so many different ways to say like manifesting could be witchcraft. It's like the same thing really. Same, but different. It's like, it's how you label it. But I want there to be a world where on every corner, so every block, there's some form of healing. And whether that's just like I said earlier, like a speech pathologist or the town witch, like it doesn't matter. Like there's someone there every few miles helping humanity. And if you look at that as like the planet and you see the little dots and you see all the dots interconnected, it's like that, like a satellite system, it almost looks like.
I love that. I'm getting chills.
Yeah, it's amazing. It also sounds like you have found your purpose or you know where you're going for sure.
But there's very much a trust and surrender piece to it though, because some days I'm just like, why isn't this, like I have the vision and I have what I've received, and some days I'm like, okay, I'm ready to build the team now. These are all the roles I need. And I get into my masculine a little bit. And I think there's a thing about the speed in which you do things as well. That's part of it. That's part of my learning, but also just in terms of when you are using your intuition and manifesting, it's not like a shopping list where you're ticking things off at the grocery store. It's like there's a let the process happen. Like it's not just tick, tick, tick.
That's also what's very different now in your company now. I don't think we've plugged this yet. I don't think you plugged it yet.
No, I haven't even got there yet.
She serves. So the way you approach it is also totally different from the feeling that I get online, right? Where the other, your previous work was very much go, go, go and make it happen and use all the tools and just push. And now you're doing it organically. Yeah. And really, I can feel that, you know, you're going into your own process with it, I suppose. Or, yeah. Taking it step by step.
So I'll give you an example of that. So it was probably 2 years ago now, 2 years ago when we launched in November, She Serves. And when we launched, I advertised like 3 jobs, like job roles at the company. And I did everything I could think of to get these roles like out into the world for people to see and apply for. I sent it out to my email list so many times. I posted it on social media. I advertised it on the job sites. I got desperate. I went onto these job sites, which I wouldn't typically do because I've never had to go on a job site before with stuff. I've usually hired people through my community and that's it. And so I advertised it on Girl Boss, on LinkedIn. Like I spent so much money advertising this role, these 3 roles, and I just couldn't find anyone that was remotely qualified. I kept getting all these people applying and they didn't match the criteria. And so some of them did, but then they weren't a right fit. But 80% of people, 90% of people were just not aligned. And so we had hundreds of applications, but not one interview. And I remember thinking like, why is this happening? Like I know we need these roles. Like for us to scale, for us to move forward in the way I want to move forward, and for the ease and the flow to happen, and for me to drop into the tasks that I need to drop into and really embody being the creator and the visionary, I need this support because I can't be doing what these roles do. And so it's been 2 years and we still haven't hired people. And so I realized, right? So what I'm realizing now, what I came to understand was the right people will come to me. And I believe that because that's the insight I received. I'm like, I don't need to push for this. When the time is right, the people are they're just going to show up in front of me and I'm going to be like, you're hired. There's not going to be an interview, an exchange of resume. I'm just going to meet people who are absolutely qualified, absolutely aligned with the mission, fit with the culture and the values of the company, and have a track record where they can do the role. And I have no shadow of doubt. So that, that was like 2 years ago now, and I'm still waiting, and I'm really learning to practice patience because I'm a very patient person. But it got to the point where I was like, this is getting frustrating now because I want to do all this stuff, but I can't do it alone. So I'm really, really flying the trust and surrender flag with that.
I have a big question. What advice would you give to people who are in the position that you were back then, of having that feeling of something isn't right, like it's not my purpose, I need to go somewhere else, or feeling spiritually drained or want to embark on this journey? What advice do you have for those people?
Don't drag it out. Like, just if something doesn't feel right, it's not right. And I think you have to also learn that sometimes things don't feel right because you may be scared. Like, you might be like, oh, I'm like nervous to put myself out there. But if you want what the thing you don't feel good about, like there's times where you're like, on the other side of that thing I have to do that I don't really feel great about doing, and you're not sure if it's fear or not, but you know that on the other side that there's something that you're trying to move forward to, a lot of times you're going to just like take that leap and go for it. But if it's a consistent, like this feels like it, completely over you, like this is definitely like not what I'm meant to be doing, I'm frustrated with the situation that I've got myself in, you need to really like take the action. Because I didn't take the action straight away because I just like was in such a state of hustling as well because I grew my company. But understanding that like that's your higher self or your intuition also speaking to you at times of like, this isn't right, like change it. It took for me to get sick for me to realize like, oh, this isn't right, I've got to change it. Like, it took me a long time after that to integrate that change. But that was when I had the realization that my physical body was like, you're not going to say no, so we're going to say no for you. And so it's something that you need to, and also like I also tell people, like I've heard people often say, and I agree with this phrase, when you don't know what to do, you don't do anything, but you get still until you do know what to do. So I feel like you need to sort of cut that noise, and meditation is really the easiest thing because you drop into stillness, and it doesn't have to be like you're sitting cross-legged on the floor saying om. Like sitting on the beach, watching the waves roll in, sitting at the park, watching the trees blow in the wind or the birds fly from tree to tree, or watching the clouds sort of float across the sky, or just sitting and having a cup of tea and not having any distractions, no books, no phones. Maybe the window's open, you can hear the birds chirping and the wind blowing and the leaves rustling and things like that, but almost like a meditative activity of just stillness. We're so busied and we're so connected. Like I always tell people, like if I'm having coffee with someone, I'm like, we are sitting amongst Wi-Fi connections right now. Like we are literally sitting between, like your text message just went through my heart. Do you know what I mean? Like where does it go? We're sitting in like the air of like invisible connections here of Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So we're almost like our energy is probably being wired and influenced, and we've got our own minds that are busy. So if you just get still, something doesn't feel right, ask spirit, source, universe, higher self, whatever you want to label it, whoever you feel connected with, your angels, archangels, ascended masters, whatever sort of comes up in that stillness activity, call it in, and also just ask for the guidance of like, what do I need to know right now? You don't need to know what to do right now. What do I need to know right now? Because only you can know what to do, because you need to make the decision. You don't want to outsource your power to someone else. What do I do? And you just do what they say, because you could also receive that intelligence in a way that maybe you need to sit with that in some way. So yeah, intuition will lead you. And even if it doesn't appear to be, like, just know that you are always in exactly the right place at precisely the right time, even when it's hard. Like, it's just, it's hard to accept that when you're going through it for the first time. And if you're not that way, like, you haven't learned that through any other experience. So, or you haven't seen anyone else go through something similar. So having been through it now, when things go bad or something feels bad, because, you know, life's not perfect. I have my ups and downs. I've got 2 little ones now and a business, and it's just like, someone has a runny nose, my world's upside down, basically, because they don't sleep, right? So it's like understanding that, like, sometimes things influence what you're doing and everything's connected and you don't know why. But if you just connect with yourself, like your inner self, intuition, higher self, like I said earlier, spirit, source, or universe. I always say the sort of vocabulary of it all, because everybody labels things differently. Yeah. You'll get the answer, and if you don't get the answer, you'll get guided somewhere where you'll feel like there's something here to explore. I'm going to keep following the breadcrumbs, per se.
And you mentioned something so important. It plays into something shocking I discovered like 2 days ago, where I kept going back and recalculating because I couldn't believe it was true. But this, when you're constantly connected, you're actually disconnected. And I was calculating, if you spend just 1.5 hours on your phone per day, that's 21 days a year, 24/7 on the phone.
Oh my God.
So that's over a month. Imagine saying to your kids and your husband, hey guys, I'm just going to go for a month and a week and be on my phone all my waking hours. It was shocking. So that's how long, if you think about, just being connected all day, how long you're disconnected from your own intuition. And there's a few topics that you've touched on that are so dear to our heart. So, you know, we're called She Serves, which is so big right now in this world. And you're calling in this divine feminine energy and women who are really stepping up to the plate and supporting women and growing their businesses of service. And where magic is the key, because we feel magic is the key to life, just even making sense to us.
It is.
And you mentioned purpose, finding your purpose. I'm super curious how long in all this process, maybe it was always so, I'll let your answer surprise me, it took you to really trust yourself and embody that trust. I feel that's vital.
It wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't until like 2020 when I really immersed myself in like deep healing, and I reduced my work so much, because in 2021 is when I decided I was going to retire my entire brand, and I made a very public statement about that, and I sold everything for the last time as like a retirement package, just so I was like, I can never sell these again. I'm going to sell them now. I'm going to tell everyone I'm retiring, because then I can't sell them again and they're gone. I have to create new stuff. So I really sort of set myself up to like not have anything left where it wasn't enticing to go like, oh, I could run that book again, or I could just change that book a little. No. I like retired everything. And that was very like releasing as well. It sort of like felt like it released me from that. I was like, it's done. People know it's like not a new program that I'm running, and they're not going to see me, that they're just buying access to my whole archive. And so it was a 2020 and 2021 period where I was, like I said, I was meditating a lot, up to like 3 hours a day, and just doing a lot of kinesiology and other energy work as well, like Reiki and working with cards and things like that. And connecting, like speaking to the universe, like asking for signs and like getting them. And I really found that there wasn't like a pivotal moment, I would say, where I thought to myself like, oh, this is like the thing that is happening. I definitely felt in every experience I had, it was building and leading me somewhere. And I realized that everything that had happened previously is still connected to where I'm going and like where I am right now. So, for example, I was an event manager for 10 years and I felt like that served no purpose, because I was just an event organizer. I'm never going to do anything with that ever in my life. But now when I see the vision for She Serves, there's a major events section of it where we're running live events and we're at an event in person, like in Europe or in the UK or the US. And I can so much now see that, like, how connected those two things are when they're like, you know, going to be like 20 years apart. And so, sorry, are you there? I think you're breaking up.
No, we're there. We're there.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We're listening super intensively.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something, but you just blurred up. Yeah, so just like I said earlier, it's that huge like trust and surrender piece of like knowing that it's all on purpose. Like on purpose is something like I always hear. I'm like on purpose. It always comes up. Just like on purpose. So everything that happens is on purpose. You are on purpose, everything.
So the self-trust has really grown, during those years of silence through the pandemic, and then looking back.
Yeah.
So
And
you
like
realize
consciously
you can always
connecting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so inspired.
Yeah, I'm also super inspired. I do have another question though, because you speak of, when you talk about spirituality, about all the different versions that exist, and there's so many ways to name the things. So I wanted to ask you what your personal definition of magic or spirituality is.
It's still evolving for me. But one thing I noticed myself saying lately is not just higher self, but future self. I noticed that like that comes up in like my drop-ins and my thoughts, that like something will happen and I'll feel like my future self had planned it or instigated it. Not so much like, you know, it's all connected in the sense of higher self, but I feel like there is a universal oneness which I'm still learning about. And at the moment, I think I'm just getting to know my own intuition and then understanding where my intuition, all the things it's connected to. Because we have our higher self, we also have angels, archangels, spirit guides, ascended masters, soul family, soulmates. There's just so many different energies, and that we're all connected. So we're all one, but like there's, in what I'm starting to learn is that like we're all one, but we're all also like individuals. So especially having a human existence. So one thing that I do find myself lately noticing is like, oh, something positive will happen, even something negative might happen, but more so when something positive happens, I'm like, I think my future self like made this happen. Like my future self knew that I needed to do something that was going to serve me later on in life. And I'll give you a really good example. So 11 years ago, no, 10 years ago. So we're in 2024 now. So it was 2014. I was sitting in a cafe and I was having breakfast. I just started my fashion blog. So I deleted my simple living blog and I just launched my fashion blog. I did my big giveaway, and I saw this newspaper. So I was at a cafe and the table was marble and I had a really nice stack of bracelets, and there was a newspaper there and my laptop, my sunglasses and my latte. And I was trying to take a photo of my arm on the table. It was like a thing people did. Like it was a table shot on Instagram on a marble table. Like it was marble was in. And I took a glimpse at the newspaper and I just like saw this flash where I remember seeing like this dress that was famous in a TV show called Sex and the City. I don't know if you're familiar with it in Europe.
Yeah.
So like it was a pretty big, okay, I wasn't sure. So pretty big deal. But in that series, there's a dress made of newspaper that Carrie wears. And I remembered that dress and I was like, oh, I should find that dress. It's vintage now, but I should find it, see if I can find it. And wear it to New York Fashion Week because I'll be in New York. It's a very iconic dress. Everyone's going to photograph me. Similar thinking to like giving away the Louis Vuitton bag. I'll wear this like crazy desirable thing that every photographer is going to want a picture of, and I'm going to be like an overnight success, right? So I go onto Google and I look for this dress. I go and just start searching Google. So I go on eBay and things like that. And it's not coming up anywhere. I'm like, oh, it doesn't exist anymore. Like I can't get it. It might be something I need to just find in like a vintage store, like in person. So I decide I'm going to set up a Google alert because I had just learned that you could set up a Google alert for your name. And if someone talks about you on someone's website, you'll get the alert and you'll be able to find the article that someone's talked about you, which is awesome. So I set that up for myself for my blog, but I also set one up for this dress. So I wrote like Christian Dior newspaper dress, John Galliano fall winter, like, 99 or something, newspaper dress, Carrie Bradshaw newspaper dress. Like I put all these alerts in. And then it was like the next day I got an alert that was like on eBay, and it was sold. It was they wanted like €800 for it, which was like $1,200 or $1,300.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to my partner at the time, I'm like, I really have to get this dress. I'm going to wear it, blah, 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 blah. It'll just fit me. It'll just fit me. I was going on about this dress. He was like, just fine, get the dress. But it's like the most expensive thing I'd ever, or second most expensive thing because I'd bought that bag. But basically, I hadn't bought anything for myself like at that price point. So I bought the dress, and it was like a little bit small on me, but like not small, it was short. Like I could get it on, but it was like pretty short that I was like, I'm going to have to wear like a coat with it and really like glam it up so that like it's not going to be too short. Like I can probably pull it off. Anyway, I never wore the dress ever. Hung in my closet for 10 years until about 3 months ago, my sister found it for sale for $300,000. And she was like, isn't this dress in your wardrobe? And I was like, it is, but like, I don't think I could sell it for $300,000. She's like, yeah, the one for $300,000 is the one that they remade just for the movie. It's not an original. But she's like, I found your one and it's selling for $50,000 on these. Like she found like two. There was one on like Revolve or Forward or something selling for like $35,000, so like 50,000 Australian. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but I'm too pregnant and too busy. So like, no, I can't be bothered trying to sell it, right? So I'm like ignoring her text. She's sending me screenshots every day. Like, I'm like, fine, sell it and I'll give you 10%, right? Fine. So she sells it for me. She finds a vintage dealer in LA and we sold it for $32,000.
Wow.
And this is what I mean, that like my future self knew that you need this dress. You don't know when you need it, but I was shown this dress, but it was like my future self of today planned it because I was very much I just had my baby when we sold it because it was like a couple of months ago, but I was very much in my trust and surrender era, and I wasn't able to work and sell as many programs lately because I'm busy with my babies, right? So the business is growing, but we still need to keep our cash flow up because I'm not scaling on ads right now because I just don't have the space to do that. I need to go slow. So I'm trusting the universe that like opportunities are going to come my way that don't require a lot of my time commitment. I don't need to do what I did last time and hustle and work really hard and be at my desk all day to build all this stuff out before I see success. I've done it before. I'm doing it again with all the lessons I've learned, and there's more alignment now. I'm connected with my intuition. I'm trust, surrender. Everything feels really good. And nothing bad's ever happening anyway. Like now, it's just the only thing bad that's happened is that I get frustrated that things aren't going faster. But then I realize if things were going faster, I wouldn't be with my babies, right? So I'd be busy. So there's that sort of learning about like getting into that process of leadership, of being slow and more in my feminine. But it was nice to have another $32,000 cash flow in the business that month. Like, and it was a month that we needed it. I was like, oh, we didn't really sell enough coaching programs this week to like, it was a bit slow this month, sorry. This will help. And it was just like such an ease and flow that like, I was like, that's magic. Like, and I remember my partner was like, he's like, oh, cash flow's a bit slow this month. I'm like, well, remember that dress that you told me not to buy? Well, my sister just sold it. Look how much she sold it for. And I showed him the phone and he was just like, he couldn't believe it. I was like, flipped a dress for $32,000, like insane.
Wow.
crazy.
You're mentioning so many things that just ring in my soul and are so aligned also with what we're doing. The trusting, the building a business that helps you thrive in all areas of your life. I think so many people, when they become mothers, they're like, oh, I need to, find nannies or a place, where my kids get watched, and I have to like go in my business. So or if you are struggling with your health, and that needs attention, then usually that's aside, and it's so vital. I think what you're sharing, that it is possible to prioritize all of life instead of just one aspect of it. We've talked to so many people who are also working corporate jobs or building their own companies, and it's like a hustle at a pretty high price. Or nonstop connection, paying the price of disconnection. And the future self I find so fascinating, because I was given, I think half a year ago, someone told me, oh, you want to build this thing, you have this vision, well, sit down and meditate and call upon the future self that's already built it and ask her for advice.
Yes, I just got shivers.
That's basically what you're describing. So tell us a little bit about the vision of She Serves, who you are helping, how it's going, the products you have. I'd love to hear more.
So I certainly feel like She Serves, and this is something that I discovered in 2021 when I was working with my mentor to align with my purpose. So she works more with intuition and purpose, and at that time I felt like I was going crazy, and that just helped me really understand, like, oh no, I'm not crazy, this is intuition. And so there's a concept she calls like a soul seed, and she was saying She Serves, at the time I hadn't had a name for. I didn't have the name at that point. No, I didn't have the name when I started working with her, because I was doing the meditations that she told me to do, and that's when the name came through. So basically, she was saying to me, something wants to come through, but you're just like, you're too much in your head. You're trying to control everything. It's just like, you got to relax, basically meditate. So I started meditating, like I said, 3 hours a day. And I had been on a journey of knowing that I wanted to create something else that wasn't my personal brand. Like, I wanted to create something like a business, and I was like the founder of that business and not be the product. Like, everyone was buying me, I was the brand, and I didn't want to do that anymore. I felt like it was limiting me in the life I wanted to lead. Like, it wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted. So when I was meditating, and so basically I tried all these different names. So one of the names we wanted to go with was She Made, or the she part was there, like she's on fire, or like she's the boss. We're trying to come up with like a she something word. And I was sending our lawyer different words because we knew we wanted to trademark it, but like, this is like, we're going for this, so we're going to trademark it. And he was like, send me 3 names, because it's always better to have 3. We'll do what's called a knockout search and tell you if anyone else has that name, whether you can proceed with trademarking it or not, because it's not guaranteed you're going to get the trademark. So I'm like, no. I sent him 1 name, and he's like, no, doesn't pass. Don't even bother. He's like, too many people have this already registered. It's like, no point. Next one I tried, I can't remember what it was. And then I was like meditating, nothing was coming through. And someone said to me, just ask spirit. So I went to bed one night and I said to my partner, I'm going to ask spirit out loud. So I'm like, hi, spirit, can you please give me the name for this brand? I'm going crazy. I don't know what to call it. I'm like going to give up if I don't have a name, because like, I can't think of anything, and nothing I tell anyone, or there's no, like, because it's not just a trademark, but it's like the domain name and the social media handles. So I wake up in the morning and I heard a voice in my ear. I always say it was the wind, like the wind had a voice. And she said, she serves, she serves, she serves. And I was like, I got out of bed. I was like, oh my God, she serves. I guess she was talking about this. I go downstairs, I grab my laptop, make a coffee. I open up GoDaddy, sheserves.com, available. Social handles, available. Trademark. I'm like, it's a Saturday morning, and I'm like, I'm on the US trademark site, and like I'm on all the trademark websites looking through the databases. I'm like, I need to just look for it myself. I can't wait till Monday till the lawyer comes. So then I look, no one's trademarked it. There's like one company in Germany that has a company called She Serves. That's like a t-shirt or something. And we can't sell a t-shirt in Germany. That's it. We can have it on like a digital product, but we can't sell a t-shirt. I can have a bag or I can have a bottle, but no t-shirt, something like that. Or it's the other way around, maybe a bag or something. And so that was how she was sort of conceived, I would say. And then I spent this really long time dancing in creation with her and doing meditations to connect with her. So my mentor had explained to me that sometimes, not sometimes, but like things have a soul. So like your business, this is a soul, just like a human or an animal that is chosen to come into fruition, into the physical world as a business. And so you can connect with her and work with her and she'll guide you. So some souls come in as an animal or a human, or they can come into form into the physical as a business. So for example, there's like the business like Apple, for example, that was part of Steve Jobs' soul seed. Like it has a soul of its own. And so learning that, I started to do meditations and connecting with She Serves. So I feel very connected with her, and the ideas and inspiration that I receive is very different from my last business. So I know that it's not just my logic, because also I've tried some things from my last business, like just methods or strategies that just didn't take off the way they used to. And it's just not the way that she wants to put the business out there. Not that she wants, or that the way that I even need to learn through this connection how to grow. Because like going back to an old strategy, there was a lot of lessons I might have learned. Like, for example, like running ads, it's very easy for me to just like turn the ads up and scale. But I also understand that like it's not a good time for me to do that because I don't want it to impact my life right now. I'm having fun with my babies. Like we pick lemons off my parents' tree and we make juice and cakes. And, it's a very slow flow. I'm very much in my mummy era that, they're going to go to school in a couple of years. It's going to be over. And then I'll just be like, let's scale. Like, what am I going to do with myself? I told my partner we have to get a dog when they go to school. Just because like we don't, what are you going to do? So, so I worked. So the name came through me connecting with She Serves Soul, and a lot of the ideas and products come through that connection. And so one product that I do have that I really realize now that I underestimated the importance of its presence in the business is called 27 Steps. And when I say I underestimated the importance of it, I received it as the leading product.
It's so
and
good.
I led with it, but then I don't know why. I guess I was just like, let's do something else at the same time, and the focus got diluted, and so I've stopped really promoting it like I was. But I know, like the insight I received like last week was like, you have to go all in on 27 Steps, which was the vision I had when I created it. Like I could see there's a book that like I can see the impact of 27 Steps. But I just didn't run with it. I went and did a different business model, which I realize now that like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And I've had to sort of stop selling 2 products. Like just this week, I was like, I'm not going to sell these anymore. I'm going to sell this just one product, like 27 Steps, and I'm going to sell my quantum mastermind that I'm running. And the other 2 need to be paused right now. And that feels right. Like I know in my whole being, I'm like, I was supposed to build it backwards and I didn't, because I rushed into building it. Even though I was still slow, I still didn't give it enough time that I know I needed to give it. I didn't give it enough time, which is what my mentor was telling me about, the gestation period. I almost went conception, a little bit of gestation, birth, like premature. Like I couldn't, like I had to wait, like, and really sit with it. I think I started to build it as it came through. So even though I was dancing with it slowly, I needed to wait till I knew it was whole before I started building it. So our offerings at the moment are, we have 27 Steps. We have Quantum Mastermind, where people can work directly with me every week for a whole year. And in that mastermind, I take people through what I call automation alchemy. So it's like because automation really is magic in business. Like if you're a coach or a service provider and you're trying to sell your programs at scale and like do more of a group coaching or a group service offering where you're getting more automated sales, like you just got to have that automated. Like it changes your life because then you can focus on other things in your business. So I teach people a lot of automation, but also marketing in the form of like magnetism in business. So I'm trying to shift the thinking of like you need to be doing marketing. No, it's marketing at its core, but really we need to shift that to like you need to be doing magnetism. You need to be a magnet for your soul clients. And it's very easy to do if you are in alignment, if you design your business to serve at scale, and if you think about the intention and the impact you want to make, because that all supports the ease and flow. Whereas if you're just like thinking, I'm just going to do this because it pays the bills and it just makes money, you're not going to enjoy that. And then you're going to be unhappy. So I teach people the automation side of things. And I have a template for everything. And it's like amazing. I just had a client this week. This is actually one of my private clients who I'm taking through this program privately. But within 10 days of starting working together, she sold $19,000 in products. So it's like she's aligned with her soul audience. She's working on programs she wants to be working on. She's like, I don't want to do coaching, so I'm not going to sell that because I don't want to do it. So I'm like, if you're going to sell something you don't want to do, it's probably not going to, there's an energetic element where you're going to get some sales, but you're not going to get enough that it makes you happy. Like if you don't want to do coaching, but 1,000 people pay you like $1,000, you're like, okay, 1,000 people pay me $1,000. Like I could live with that. Like if you got paid an exuberant amount of money to do something, I think some people are like, okay, I'm being compensated a lot for this small effort I need to make in the scheme of things. And this was my problem in my last business. I was doing that. I was getting paid a lot and I was, didn't have to do much. So I was like, I couldn't see what the problem was because I was enjoying the income I was making, but I was just working so much. So teaching the alignment of that and making sure that when I speak with people now, it's like, they're like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? Like, tell me what you want to do and I'll help you do that through the logical side of things. But like, if you want to write, like I speak to so many women who are like, I love writing, but I have to do Instagram. I'm like, you don't have to do Instagram. Have a Substack. So I really am trying to shift the conversation about building a community as well and leadership within spaces, because I think a lot of people when we're growing our businesses, we want to succeed, right? We don't want to do the wrong things, but oftentimes doing the thing you think is right is actually wrong for you. And I've done it. I've tried to grow on every social platform out there. And when you try and do everything all at once, you don't get a lot of results. You get a little bit of results everywhere. And then it's like, it doesn't give you the momentum you need. And so there's that portion of like just doing what you're naturally gifted at. And if you are a writer, you just need to find a platform where a community is interested in reading. And you can have 10,000 people a month reading your content, and you're building trust and authority with those people. And you don't even need to get on camera if you don't want to, because you enjoy writing. And so there's so many successful people out there and they're successful because they're doing what they're aligned with. I could like name off so many people who just write on Instagram and share a photo of words on a white background, and it's shareable content. Like I read so many things rather than watch videos sometimes. And so really just supporting women in like, let's build this how you want to work. How do you want to live? What does that look like?
That was also our huge realization a couple of months before we founded Magic is Key. She had come from this, Serafina had come from this crazy corporate lifestyle where she just kept getting promoted basically.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching and in-person workshops, and both our choices were utterly draining to us. I thought this is, if you want to do magic, you gotta like be there in person and coach, and the pandemic was really such a blessing in so many ways, such a reset.
Yeah.
It was awful and hard, and you can still feel a lot of people integrating kind of the trauma of it. And on the other hand, there are beautiful things being birthed into the world, such as She Serves, which is amazing. You wanted to ask one more question before we close.
Oh, you also had one, but
I did? I don't.
Okay,
I just wanted to say
the...
you're awesome and we feel you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll go with the final question, and you can make it quick, the answer also, if you want. So you're building a whole platform around supporting women, doing magic, helping people, and all of that. Why do you believe that this is so important, especially in this time that we live in now?
I feel like everyone is so disconnected in like the real world. Like you were talking about earlier about we're so disconnected, we're on our phones, but we, like you and I, we are in this world where we are online and we understand manifestation and magic and we're interested in it. But we are such a small community. Like when I go out into the world with my kids, I'm at the park and I see other people living their life. There's so many times a day where I think, oh my God, they just need healing. Like, I'm like, oh, what happened to you? Why are you screaming at your child like that? They don't know they're two. Like, what happened? Like, you didn't have it, that's coming from somewhere. And I feel like if everyone had more self-awareness about conditioning, what happens to you past life as well, 0 to 7, childhood, like while you're in the womb, and understands how childhood impacts your adulthood, because we're so young, and like children are so intuitive, like, and so imaginative. And I feel like, I've heard stories, and my mum worked at a school and she said there was a little girl when we were younger, she'd draw people, like you draw kids draw other people. And she's like, she would put a halo around people, like not a halo, a glow. She'd draw colors around people as their aura. She would see their aura. And so I think all kids have that ability. We all have intuition, our clear senses. Everybody has those senses. We're just not encouraged to tune into them. We're not nurtured. They're not nourished. And so you just don't know that you have that sense. And so kids who have it, we're born with it. We grow up not knowing about it and getting distracted away from it. And we go into schools where we're learning about math and English and literature and all that kind of stuff. And we become very disconnected from our sense, the clear senses. And I feel like if everybody could connect with their clear senses and help also heal themselves, the world would just be a better place for our children, because we are raising the future. And so that's, yeah.
Oh, we heard this earlier this week when we were speaking with Isis and Drea.
Yeah, we're doing it for those that come after us.
Yeah.
Oh, Marina, I'm getting like goosebumps from this. I love 27 Steps. It's an ebook and it's an online course. Your website is sheserves.com, and we'll definitely be getting more from that as well, because you're really such an incredible teacher. And I have your archives. I'm still going through them. Like when I need support and I can't get clear on how to get stuff out there, I go into the archives. You're really a brilliant teacher, a visionary in your work, and what you do is so well founded in what you've embodied throughout your life. So sheserves.com.
Thank
We'll
you.
put the links down below.
We'll put the links below. And also, if you're at the other end and you want to know how to trust yourself, know your purpose, and feel connected, then our Magic is Key membership is the one to go to.
Awesome.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
It's a big inspiration, and all the best.
Yeah. See you next time.
Thank you so much for watching this guest lesson. If you've had any realizations or questions as a result of watching it, or you just want to share something with us, make sure to comment below. We love hearing from you. Also, hit like and subscribe if you love this channel, and head on over to one of our other epic guest lessons. If you feel the call to experience magic in your everyday life, and you want to find out what it means to live with magic, then head on over to magiciskey.com. Check out our courses and our membership. It might be the right thing for you.